Hi everyone, it's been a while since my last video, so I thought I'd spend a couple of minutes to let you know what I've been up to and what I plan on doing with the Keep Talking real life build project. So essentially the bottom line is that I am still working on it, although I haven't been so far this year. I think that comes from the fact that back at the end of last year in December, I rushed and put a lot of effort and time into getting the bomb ready, getting it playable, and trying to finish off a basic set of modules that would allow it to be used. And I think I essentially just burnt myself out and was working too much on it. So after I achieved that self-imposed goal, I stepped away for a few months, and I didn't intend for it to be this long, but I got doing other things that I wanted to do, but I hadn't had time because of this project and some other things that just going on in life. So yeah, it's been a bit of a longer hiatus than I'd hoped for and kind of anticipated, but I do still plan on getting back to it, and I think now's the time. So hopefully going forward there'll be a few more update videos and much more progress to share. But yeah, that's kind of the summary up front. So I am still working on it basically, and I am still here. But you know, in the meantime, this year the only things that I've really done are played with it, which is the entire point of me doing this project, because I could have done any electronics project I wanted, but I wanted something that would be fun and playable and that people could enjoy, rather than something a bit more technical and things that others couldn't use. I wanted something that, you know, I could take somewhere and it would be entertaining, it would be fun for people. So that is what I've been doing. So there've been a few events. I've played it with some friends and colleagues, which has been great. And really the highlight was getting invited to the Auxcast to allow some of the guys to play with the bomb, which was absolutely brilliant. What a great opportunity for me to be able to do that. So I'll talk about that and what I've learned from some of the real play tests that I've done. Beyond just me trying to test it on my own. So starting with the Auxcast, so first of all, big thanks to Booth for putting me in touch with Duncan, and Duncan for inviting me over as well and playing with him, Ozzy and Lewis. Absolutely brilliant day, fantastic time. First of all, the Augs guys were really, really friendly, nice kind of office tour and time to chat with them all day. And I don't think I paid for an entire thing that day. They paid for my lunch and drinks, things like that. Yeah, really fantastic guys. So yeah, it was a pleasure. And beyond that as well, I had a great time playing the game with them. Unfortunately, in hindsight, I didn't get many pictures or videos because my phone was the controller for the bomb. So I was keeping it close by to maintain the Bluetooth connection, just in case there were any hiccups with it disconnecting and causing issues. But that just meant that I couldn't use my phone most of the day, which was a bit frustrating in hindsight. And also there was a bit of pressure on me to make sure it worked. Self-imposed pressure, not from the Augs guys. Because I turned up on the day that Duncan invited me down, not knowing really what the plan was. I didn't know if we were going to be filming anything that day or if it was going to be a initial meet and greet and for them to see what it did, how it worked and how they could use it. We just kind of jumped straight into playing with it. So yeah, the pressure was on because I didn't want to waste their time in terms of, you know, having enough footage for video or for being a frustrating experience for them. Say if the bomb stopped working halfway through a game and it would just kind of ruin the mood. So yeah, I was super focused on making sure it was all set up. There were going to be no problems, and I think I was a bit too nervous. I shouldn't have put that much pressure on myself to be nervous and get it all working fine. I should have enjoyed the moment a little bit more. So that's a lesson on me to learn. But I think the good thing that I took away from this is that it worked pretty well on camera. So during the games there were no issues. Although again I was nervous when they made a mistake. I thought that, you know, I programmed the game logic wrong and they were doing the manual read right, but then the game wasn't responding the way it should have. So I was a bit worried in the back of my mind when watching, but yeah, it performed really well and there were no issues at all, apart from self-imposed ones. I mean, putting a keycap on upside down. But yeah, it went great. So I was really pleased with it, and it was fairly reliable. And I say on camera. Unfortunately, there were some issues off camera. So the things that I've learned from that time at the Yogscast and other play tests is that yeah, there are some modules that have a few reliability problems. So we didn't use Morse in the end at Yogscast because I'd just done that kind of temporary fix, well not temporary, but the last minute change to use 9-volt battery on Morse to power the motors. It was sort of untested, so I didn't want to trust them it to ruin a game. So we didn't use that. We wanted to use complicated wires, but one of the lights was out, so just a simple, wires come loose inside the box, easy fix, but that's what happens when you haven't used it for a couple of months and then take it to the Yogscast to play. So maybe a bit more testing just ahead of an event would be useful. And also some other bits breaking down, so the keycaps were starting to spring out at one of the later events that I did, simply because I think the plastic was starting to wear a little bit, so it wasn't sticking, and the keycaps were trying to jump out of the module box, which is quite funny actually, but not helpful during a game. What else? There were two other main things that I wanted to take away to improve upon beyond the reliability. The first one, beyond that, would be let me think. Oh yes, the number of modules on the bomb. So if you remember back to my last video in December when I got it all working and I was showing off the kind of initial operating capability of the bomb, I'd taken just randomly, I decided to do 6 modules on one side because I didn't want to spin the bomb round and have to move it a lot. Just make it simpler for the demonstration to do it all on one side, which meant I had six modules. It turns out, and we learned this at the Yogscast, that if I add a 7th module, it just stops working completely. I think I've later figured out that the CAN bus, the communication line, was, structured poorly. It's supposed to be a linear bus with little branches for each of the things that want to connect to it, with resistors at each end. But I've got a bit more of a hub and spoke design in my bomb, where you've got the infrastructure at the bottom as the hub, and then lots of spokes that come up to the slots you can plug the modules into. But I've got a resistor in each module. So the more modules you add, the kind of less effective resistance there are between the comms lines. And so at 7, which seems to be the magic number, that breaks down and communications become jammed. You can't start a game, you can't set up a game because some of the modules aren't responding and it gets tied up. So a bit unfortunate to learn that in the moment, but again, I think that should be a fairly easy fix. Just need to remove some of the resistors and think about that CAN bus topology a little bit better. So that's fine. And the big bit of feedback I got, in particular from Yogscast, where I think obviously we had a day, so you're trying to squeeze as much into it as possible, is the setup times. So I'd rather naively, during my own testing, where it was just me setting up and playing with the bomb solo, I thought it would be fairly simple. You can swap some modules when you're setting up a game, do the manual setup, it will only be a few minutes, and I thought it would be fairly, not great, but not terrible. So, I just assumed that and left it as is. But the manual setup was quite onerous at times. I mean, notwithstanding some of the technical problems that we encountered off camera, but a lot of the games that Duncan and Ozzy played were fairly, I don't want to say simple, but it's the starter modules, things like wires and buttons and keypads, things that have a lot of manual setup required. So the issue was that the game would finish, they would do their wash up on camera, so I couldn't jump in and do anything just yet. And then when they stopped, I could go in and change the modules. I would set up the phone app to do the manual setup, and then I'd have to find wires and add them, find my keycaps, and there's quite a stack of keycaps to flick through to get the right ones, and then I'd add them, and that time, it's hard to do that setup beforehand because each module generates its own random puzzle when you are ready to start going, and it's at that point it tells you what the wires and the key caps and the buttons are that need to be added. So again, you have to be quite reactive to what the game's asking for. Okay, so I can't really do anything about that. So the way forward, I think, is I'm going to implement a random number generator seed. So on the phone app, I can specify a particular seed. That will mean that each random puzzle for each module will be set by that seed, which will make it replayable. So if they want to run the same game again, if you've got like a competition, you've got two teams, you can give them exact same challenge because you can give them the same seed and it will generate the same puzzle. But the way that this will help the setup times will be, I could look at 100 seeds and create a bit of a catalogue of what manual set was required for those seeds. So ahead of time, I'll know what I'll need for a particular seed. So when a game's being played, I can look in my little catalogue and pick a seed number out and say, okay, I need these wires, these keycaps, etc., and I can get them ready. So in the worst case, the game finishes, we try to set the new one, and I've got my wires and my keycaps there, and I can just add them straight away. So it'd be nice and simple. And that's the worst case. In the best case, they'll be playing with a bomb, and I'll have some spare, wires and keypads modules that they aren't using, and I can put the wires on and the keycaps on, and then simply swap the whole module. And that's a really simple setup because I know what it's going to generate. It's already there. So I think that will drastically improve setup times. I didn't time how long it would be, but I want to say that for 5 minutes of gameplay, and there's probably 5 minutes of recording or 10 minutes of recording around that of the Yogscast, it was probably about 5 to 10 minutes of setup, and maybe 15 if there was a bigger technical problem, which did crop up at a couple of points, such as the reliability or the CAN bus issues. So it's not great, it could be better. I like it at least 1-to-1, 5 minutes gameplay, 5 minutes setup. That's not too bad. Otherwise it does kill the momentum and it's hard to, stream that sort of a game and keep people engaged if you're just having to fiddle around with stuff. So yeah, an improvement to be made. But yeah, I've got plans to work around those issues and that would be not too bad, I don't think. I've got a bit of a prototype with a random number generator seed for one of the modules. So it just means that I need to recode all of modules and make sure that seed's consistent. So again, if I specify a seed, I know exactly what that bomb is going to generate. So that is sort of the plan, is to fix those issues or bits of feedback that I got from the playtests I've done this year, which will make it more fun. But, just to reflect, fantastic opportunity. So thanks again, Yogscast, for that. But also just seeing people play the game is the entire reason I built it. So, it's been great to see people enjoy it at the events I've gone to. And it does give me more motivation to come back to it, even if I'm burned out. I still think about the bomb and what I need to do for it. So, I'm not going anywhere just yet. I've still got a bit of passion for this project still. What else next just beyond that as well? So apart from the fixes, which I want to prioritize, obviously, I would like more modules. I've got about 2 of each. It would be nice to have 3. Again, just for spares for that manual setup, or to make more bombs, or to factor in the reliability of some lights or buttons disconnecting. So yeah, it'd be nice to have a few more copies of things, which is time consuming, but not a challenge. I've got all of the stuff here. I just need to print more parts and build more PCBs. I will need to tackle the Android issue. So I use my phone as the companion app to start the bomb and do the setup. But I hear that Android is moving towards not having unlicensed apps on their running on their phones. And I am not a licensed app creator. I just use a little website to make the interface. So soon, I think, I will not be able to use the phone app, and I won't be able to play the game because it is reliant on that. So I may have to look into, hosting a little local area network to the bomb and connecting via Wi-Fi or something like that, like a hotspot. There's a couple of options there. I just need to figure out what I want to do and what's easiest and feasible to do. So yeah, it's just another hurdle for me to have to jump over, unfortunately. And there's obviously the modules that I haven't done yet. So things like capacitor discharge, knob, and who's on first. I think I've got a picture in my head about who's on first would work. It's a bit challenging to do practically. And again, it's just more time to design, print, probably iterate because I don't get it right first time, and construct those modules. But I would like to get most of the vanilla ones done as well as I can, as well as probably dip my toe into the modded modules. Again, I haven't played modded Keep Talking at all, but I know it's really popular. So I need to figure out what some of the first of all, the fun modules, the favorite modules that people have, but also feasible modules. They need to be, physically able to be built in some way or other. So I'll look into those and figure out what I want to do and add on to my plate. But vanilla to start with, and then I'll see what else I can branch out to when I've got more time and interest to do so. So where does that leave us? Yes, I guess just to summarize, I'm still here. I've taken a long break, but I'll be continuing to work on the bomb, adding more modules, doing the fixes and reacting to feedback that I've had from people playing it. And hopefully you'll see more regular uploads from me showing some progress. Or maybe even taking it to an event, and if I think ahead, I can have that spare phone so one phone can connect to the bomb and run the game, and I'll have another phone to take videos and pictures, which would be really good, rather than being a bit too heads down in the game. But that's me. That's my update. So thanks for sticking around if you're still here after almost an entire year of no progress updates. But thanks for watching, and hopefully you'll see more from me soon.